So I'm Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL. ADL is the oldest anti-hate organization in America. We've been fighting anti-Semitism and all forms of bigotry since 1913, when a group of individuals came together to create ADL in the face of the systemic discrimination faced by the Jewish people at that time and the widespread, pervasive manifestations of anti-Jewish hate that were so commonplace in American culture at the turn of the 20th century. And they wrote a charter for this new organization. We might call it a manifesto in our current vernacular. And what they wrote that day in August 1913, we still use today as our mission statement, that our purpose is to, quote, stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all. Literally, that dual mission to fight anti-Jewish hate and all forms of hate. The realization that unless everyone is safe, Jewish people cannot be safe. That has been our animating principle for more than 100 years. And so today, in this moment, I felt compelled to write "It Could Happen Here," because I don't think the stakes have ever been higher. Hate in general, anti-Semitism specifically, has been on the rise of late. From 2015 to 2020, here in the United States, we saw more than doubling of anti-Semitic incidents. I'm talking acts of harassment, vandalism, and violence. And in 2021, around the fighting in Gaza, we saw a 115% increase, a spike in anti-Jewish acts in the month of May versus that of the prior year. Now keep in mind that this is happening against the backdrop of more incidents of intolerance. According to the latest FBI statistics, hate crimes are up overall 12% in 2020. And all of us know this. We see it in the coarsening of the public conversation, where politicians weaponize the Holocaust or distort its memory, or they politicize anti-Semitism. The right accuses the left accuses the right. We see it in the widespread adoption of stereotypes and scapegoating by populists, again, from all sides. We see it in the kind of ugly demonization that typically happens in our increasingly polarized society. I think we see it in some ways in this big lie that a legitimate election was somehow illegitimate. That even though all the votes were counted, there are still some who say that they weren't. And again, that fosters an environment where mistrust reigns, where distrust is supreme, and disinformation seems to be everywhere. And I don't think, as I said, we've ever seen a moment like this. And in fact, the sentiment analyses, the surveys and polling all show us this. People now think a kind of political violence is legitimate. A plurality of people, again, on both sides, are ready to use violence to achieve their stated ends. And so as the grandson of a Holocaust survivor who escaped Nazi Germany, as the husband of a political refugee from Iran who escaped the Islamic Republic, both my grandfather and my wife never could have guessed when they were young that they would have to leave the country that they loved. But then hate happened, and it destroyed these vibrant, pluralistic societies. And so I don't think that even here in America, that I believe to be the greatest democracy in the history of humanity, I don't think we can take for granted that the next generation, that my grandchildren, if you will be born here, unless we fight for what we have. Because this corrosive force of hate can erode foundations of a liberal democracy. It can tear at the seams of the social fabric, and it can leave in its wake destruction and death. And I just don't think we can take for granted that it won't happen here. It could happen here.